Hey guys, Muskie Road World Podcast, episode number 247. Guys, thanks for listening. Thanks for telling a friend. Tonight's podcast is brought to you by Thorn Brothers. Guys, if you haven't been to Thorn Brothers, if you're in Minnesota and you haven't been to Thorn Brothers, well, shame on you. Any kind of muskie bait you're looking for, fly fishing, bass, rods, reels, electronics, they've got it. You can go to thornbros.com. Thornbros.com online right now. Check them out. Again, I'm using their Cell series of rods this year. I love them. Super light, very, very easy to fish. I want you to check those out. So go to thornbros.com and see what they got. Also, guys, we'd love to hear from you. Tony gets very lonely sometimes, and he does check his phone for text. So I want you to text him on the Lungin Lures text line, 606-776-6570. Again, 606-776-6570. And tell Tony what you think. If you like him or hate him or any of that stuff. We'd love to hear both of those. Again, Lungin Lures, guys, LunginLures.com. Check them out. They got a ton of line of crankbait and spinner baits from the Nutbuster spinners to the DC9, DC10s. And, yeah, a lot of stuff out there. The Alley Cat series of baits, along with the 22 short, 22 long, and all their 22 series of lures. Guys, we just got back from the Lake Vermilion Leg 3 final qualifier for the PMTT. And you guys are lucky because you don't have to listen to me that much. And I've got the first and second place team on the line right now. I got the first place team of Mike Gorman and Jason Stock. And I have one of the second place team, who I actually think is the brains behind the outfit. Luke Ronastrand could not be on here tonight because I'm sure something got screwed up. His partner, Grant Loden, who, like I said, I'm sure was the brains behind the whole deal, is on here with us. So, guys, how you doing?
I'm finally recovered.
What'd you say?
I said I'm finally recovered.
Recovered. I tell you what, I got back and hit the water, and today I think it hit me today, and yeah, I was exhausted all day today, and my elbow and my arm and my everything it hurt. I actually had a crazy thing happen today, or for me, it was just an average day. I was up here in Northwest Angle fishing with some clients, good friends of mine, Danny Haddix and Troy Ratliff from West Virginia. And Troy, of course, gets fish on. Danny hasn't caught one yet, which is, if anybody knows them, big surprise. Troy gets a fish on. I turn around, I grab the net, and I lift up. The net's kind of stuck on my wave whacker in the back. And as I'm lifting, I kind of yank it. Well, I have a 620 tiller, and when I yanked it up, the net caught the key to the boat, ripped the key out, and threw it over the boat, and it sank to the bottom of the lake. Now I know why people have those floating keychains. But luckily, for once, I was prepared, and I had the other key on my actual car key rings. But it's amazing I had those. Normally I just leave my keys in the car up here at the angle. Yeah, so that was an eventful. Have you guys ever done that?
I have not ever done anything like that. No.
That's not the worst case scenario out there.
Grant, you fish with Luke. I'm sure you've seen him do stuff like that. I have. I lived with him.
Yeah.
I mean, that's for like Luke. Luke is always one of those guys, don't sweat the small stuff. The small stuff is the motor fell off. I think we're sinking, but it is a beautiful day. That is Luke Ronastrand in a nutshell right there.
I got numerous Luke stories. Once he was late to pick me up. He said, I need a minute. So I'm like, all right, how long do you need? Oh, about an hour. Gets to my cabin, and I'm like, well, what's going on? He goes, my boat sunk and my topwaters were floating all over. I had to go around and pick them up.
Oh, yeah, I mean, that's a normal story.
Yeah, yep.
Oh, well, when we lived together at Mille Lacs, he had not paid a parking ticket or something, I can't remember, got pulled over on 169 for not having trailer lights, which, back then no one had trailer lights because boat trailer lights never worked. And he got pulled over. Well, there was a warrant out for his arrest. I had to go bail him out of jail so he could guide the next day. Yes, that was none of this surprises me about your partner.
Yep.
Anything goes. But here, let me start out here. I want to talk to Mike and Jason. You guys end up winning the tournament. You guys got 4 fish, and what's amazing, you got 3 of those fish on Sunday, the short day. So, kind of tell me, Jason and Mike, what was your experience? Where are you guys from? Let's say that.
Jason, go ahead.
I'm from Princeton, Minnesota, which would be, I guess, 35 minutes south on 169 from Cove Bay.
I know right where Princeton, Minnesota is. I used to.
Yeah.
Isn't there a boat dealer there or something? I had work on a boat one time.
Could have been Shipwreck. I think they might be out of here now.
That sounds kind of like my place. That sounds like a place I would hang out.
Yeah.
What about you, Mike?
I'm currently in Cushing, Minnesota, which is, I don't know, call it probably about, which way you take it, 30, 40 minutes southwest of Brainerd.
Okay. Okay, so now even you, Grant, all 3 of you guys are from Minnesota.
That's right. I'm from Waconia, some suburb of the city, western suburb.
Sure.
Yep.
Well, Mike and Jason, how much did you guys fish Vermilion?
Well, together, I would say not a whole lot. We used to do. We used to go up there in June together, but we were even talking about it prior to the tournament that me and him have not been on Vermilion together for quite some time. Years. I can't remember the last time. Call it maybe 10 years, 8 years. I don't know, Jason, if you remember the last time we were together exactly, but I'd really call it that as far as me and him fishing them waters together.
Okay. And had you ever fished it in, late summer like this, or was this kind of something new?
No, first time I've been there in August. So.
Okay. So
yeah, same with me too. We haven't fished with June or October. The only month we fished it.
So you guys, Jason, I'll ask you this: how did when did you get up there for did you pre-fish? If so, when did you get up?
We all got up Sunday. We had a friend with a cabin there, so we got to stay at a nice place, keep the boat tied up to the dock. So our kind of game plan for tournament fishing, I guess, is get out early, hit her hard till about noon, try to move a fish or two, and then just search, find stuff that, resembles that. Don't burn ourselves out casting or catching fish, I guess. We kind of try to move something and then spend the rest of the day looking for that spot. And the next day we'll go out, try something else, try to catch a fish doing something else. And if we can move something, look for more spots like that. And I guess Vermilion is one of them lakes too where we knew it can switch on a dime. You could have fish all over the place, and then 1 minute later they're gone somewhere else. We wanted a few options, but to be within a 20-minute driving distance, 15, so we weren't burning time running around and stuff like that. So
sure.
Yeah, it's kind of what we went after. I don't know. Mike's got a few more on that. Is there anything else on that, I guess?
Mike,
no,
what are you saying?
I would say, Jason's pretty well spot on. Anytime we enter a tournament, pre-fishing for us is we are up early, on the water early, and then off the water early. We do not like them hot afternoons, burning our bodies, dehydrating. We like to get back and, a lot of people laugh at me. I'm like, man, tournament night or even pre-fishing nights, 8:30 is pretty late night for me on even pre-fishing. It is. It's like, no, I don't like burning ourselves out. I want to try and save all our energy for tournament days is what we want to do, and just try and locate and try and get a pattern together. And tournament day, we're going to just try and run that pattern and just like, I think Jason really hit something really good there as far as like when you're tackling a lake like Vermilion. When we were coming into that tournament, time management was kind of on our minds as far as what basin we're going to go to or what basins. And, you know, even when we were pre-fishing, I was even timing, like leaving from one spot to another spot to find out how much time it took. So we don't like spending a lot of time driving around. We're lines in the water as much as we possibly can. That's kind of one of our, I guess, go-to theories of tournament fishing is the more time you have a line in the water, the better odds you got to get in a fish. And if you're spending a half hour driving across the lake multiple times throughout the day, you just lost an hour of fishing, hour and a half of fishing. So we try to eliminate that. Breaking down the lake is what we try to do.
Sure. No, I get that. We, my partner, Rick Hoover, and myself, we finished 5th in this tournament, guys. Hold the applause.
Yeah, well, it's kind of a hidden one there. You're kind of hidden.
Yeah.
We're not going to go into that detail.
I am going to stay out of that subject. I don't know the details behind it, so I will bow out of it.
I think they were lucky it happened to you two, because I think some other people might have been a bigger deal in the moment. So good for you guys to just let it go and let the show go on, I guess.
I don't care, just as long as the check cashes. The tournament, you know, a lake like Vermilion, I mean, it's long, you know, I mean, that you can really, like you were saying, spend some time running. You know, and us, we really had 2 spots that we were fishing hard, and they were really close. They were like 30 minutes apart. So we, you know, when we decided to move, we had to, you know, it wasn't like we were going to keep running between the spots. You had to like plan when you were going to be there. And that was something we really, we ran into. Grant, you got second in this deal with Luke. How did, now do you have a place up there?
I do. I've got a cabin in Niles Bay that we've owned since 2006.
Okay.
So, yep.
And so now your experience on Vermilion is you fished it a ton.
Yeah. Obviously, Luke's fished it a ton. I have too. I guess our pre-fishing philosophy, I came up, I think, Monday night. Yeah, that's right. Monday night. And we sort of fished out of 2 boats for 2 days. So Luke fished out of his. I had a buddy come up. You can only be
in Luke's boat for so long before you.
That's right.
I mean,
before you fall through one of his compartments and sprain an ankle or
get pink eye. I get it.
Yeah.
I get it. Trust me, I know about all of this. So you guys fished 2 boats. Now that's interesting. I know other people that have done that. Was that just to like eliminate ideas or just to cover more shit?
Yeah, really it was covering water, so we checked different basins at different times, right? I mean, these guys hit it, right? Vermilion changes so fast, and certain basins can be hot when others are completely cold and dead, right? So the idea was to fish different basins at different times, spread the fishing out, figure out which basins were hot, and then sort of center our tournament strategy around that.
So let me ask you this. So by doing that, did you guys talk like in the morning and say, hey, I'm going to go here, here, and here, you go here, here, and here? Or did you guys just both go and just kind of, at the end of the day, compare notes?
No, so we tried to fish tournament hours just to see what was going on during the hours. And then, you know, before that, Luke and I would check in, and Luke would say, I'm going to this basin, and I would say, I'm going to this one. We'd sort of break down sort of what type of spots we would progress through, right, in our different sessions, you know, whether it was rock to weeds, weeds to rock, you know, moving around deep rock, shallow rock. We even tried some open water stuff. It's a pretty hot pattern on Vermilion, I think everyone's aware of. So, yeah, I mean, that was the idea, was to just, you know, fish as much as we can at different times to find out what we really wanted to do during the tournament.
Sure. So, Mike, Jason, how how was pre-fishing for you? We know how you did it. We know what you looked for. How was it? Did it help? Did it not help? Did it frustrate you more?
You want to try and take this one, Jason?
Sure. I mean, I think I don't think it can ever really hurt. I think it can hurt if you stick to that pattern and don't change and wait for a window. You hear a lot of teams like say, "Hey, we got a fish here. We're going to fish it out." We've done that before too.
It's burned us before.
Yeah, inexperienced water. Oh, we know there's fish here. The window's going to open. You start seeing them, and then by the end of the day, you're like, well, I guess that was the window. We just wasted our whole day on just a couple follows.
Sure.
So, but I mean, our pre-fishing was okay. We were finding a lot of small fish in the weeds, but we've also learned in tournaments too. We come from Minnesota, so prior to tournament fishing, we fished all day for one big fish throwing huge lures. Well, that doesn't place you in a tournament. So that took a year or two to kind of figure out, like, yeah, we got to kind of change up our game plan. So we liked the smaller fish in the weeds that we were getting, under 40 inches that we would see, and caught a few. So we kind of stuck with that pattern. We did fish a little bit of rocks in the wind, but it got so windy Thursday. We're like, well, no sense of beating ourselves up. We know plenty of rock spots if we need to switch. So we kind of left it alone. And then, so we hit our weeds, like Mike was saying at the tournament, we hit our weeds till about 10 o'clock. And then lucky our next spot of weeds had a rock point, and then it went back into weeds. And Mike stuck one on that rock point. So then from there, the whole rest of our tournament just completely changed. We just, flopped. It was rocks after that the whole rest of the time. So sure. This one was probably about as close to home water as we had for fishing. So we kind of felt good with that, of leaving some stuff alone, just knowing we would hit it if we needed to, and that. So that helped a lot. And pre-fishing, a lot of it, we actually hit water that we never been on in the area that we were kind of targeting. Like, maybe we would find a random weed patch or a rock bed. And we did try a lot of that open water where being from Minnesota with clear, deep water, we've been successful with the open water bite, but never in a tournament. We can do it pre-fishing, but as soon as that tournament comes, so we've kind of learned, I think we gave it maybe 2 hours on Saturday and learned not getting stuck in the mud, we call it.
Sure.
Because we've done that before, so.
No, I totally get it. Grant, how did the pre-fishing help you guys, or did it?
I think for us it was pretty apparent early on what we wanted to do. So we spent a lot of time just eliminating other basins, right? Pre-fishing. Like I said, we spread out 2 boats. The idea was if we found one that was hotter than what we were on, then maybe we'd switch. But we sort of knew what we wanted to do. I think for Luke and I, we figured, 4 fish was going to win it, 2 each day, which that's what ended up winning it. It wasn't 2 each day. It was 1 first day and 3 the next. But so that was our goal. And we thought our best pattern, or our best way to do that was to get fish in the weeds. Pre-fishing, we did catch fish on other stuff. We got fish on rocks. Luke got a pretty nice 48 incher the day before the tournament. Burned that one for us, but that's all right. That's what Luke likes to catch fish. Does a good job at it. So yeah, it was really, for us, it was eliminating other basins or finding one that was hotter than what we were going. And then, tournament time, it was us focusing on weeds, because that's where we thought our best chance of was getting, 2 bites a day and scoring on 2 fish each day.
Yeah. Well, I tell you, for me, fishing Vermilion, it was one of the first times I've been there where there was good weed growth. And because I hadn't been there in like 15 years. And so once I started seeing all those weeds, I just kind of, for me, I thought, well, we can fish the rock stuff, but for the local guys that fish up there, I don't know the sweet spots on these rocks or anything like that. I know that can be a big deal. So we just kind of decided to focus on weeds, thinking, there's maybe not as big a fish, but maybe we can catch a few. and that was kind of our plan with the whole deal. And so we kind of did the same thing, as just look for weeds, try to find weeds, and that's what worked out for us as well. Mike, Jason, so Saturday you guys get one fish. Did you guys move many fish, have any more chances, or how did that go for you?
Yeah, I would say probably one of the worst ones that I felt is the 10 minutes to go in the tournament. I mentioned it too, kind of my interview with Tim, is losing a fish within 10 minutes left in the tournament on Friday. I had one just smack me hard, set the hook. I got 2 or 3 head shakes out of it, and it was gone, came unpinned. It had bit out a ways. And it's almost that feeling, you don't have another opportunity after that. Clock's ticking, the day's over. You're going to have a different bite the next day, possibly. And when I lost that fish, it's like sometimes in a tournament when you lose a fish.
Yes, I've lost fish in tournaments. Yes.
Me and Jason have lost. Sometimes we feel like we're the kings of losing fish, and that one just really ripped me apart pretty good, because you think about it and it gets in your head and you're just like, man, that was a tournament winner right there. We needed another fish, and I had it and I lost it, and your heart sinks, and that day's over with. You go back, tuck your tail between your legs, and you go home and try and regroup. But I think that was probably the worst one that I lost. Lost one on Saturday, but losing that fish probably helped me, or helped us, because again, something else I mentioned, in my speech a little bit is Jason started calling the spots. Once we really kind of had a pattern dialed in, he was just calling the spots. And honestly, we were fishing spots we didn't pre-fish on at all. There were some spots that I'd never fished before at all on Vermilion. But he's just like, hey, let's go here. And literally we'd pull up to a spot after he called it, and out would come a fish, and bam, So
on Sunday,
it was kind of a crazy event. Crazy for us, yes.
Well, it's always nice when it happens, and it's even really nicer when there's a tournament.
Yeah.
So, all right.
See, some real quick on that. On Friday, I was in the back of the boat throwing rubber or kind of more jerk bait style stuff to trigger something else, or maybe get a big one. I could get one to follow, but I couldn't get him to commit. But going in on Friday with one fish, every tournament we've been in and placed in, we've caught all our fish on Sunday. So Mike was a little disappointed. I was almost ecstatic going in to day 2 with a fish under our belt, because we've had to make up so much ground on Sunday, losing fish on Saturday, or the bite change and getting it figured out for a day. So I felt great on it. I know he was a little disappointed and bad on losing it, but I felt good and thought we had a good shot at, I didn't know if we were going to win or not, but I knew we had a good shot at the money. So
sure. On Grant, on the first day of the tournament, you and Luke did really well. You were sitting in second place. Kind of explain how the first day went for you.
Yeah, so I guess, pre-fishing, we sort of identified a window, like a late morning, noon window. We knew we were sort of just biding time until that. We, started fishing a few of our secondary spots right away, because we didn't want to burn our primary spots. And then we ended up, hooking and losing a fish on one of our secondary spots. And we sort of assumed the window was open, made a pretty long run to our primary spots, and it's a good thing we did, because the first pass through in the primary, we got the 46 1/4.
Nice.
And then we went to literally our next spot and got the 40 1/4.
Oh wow! Not to interrupt, what were you guys? Because you guys were doing stuff a little different as far as bait wise.
Yep.
What were you guys getting fish on?
For us, it was all gliders and jerk baits, right? So, like, I caught one on a Suic. The other one we got on Friday was on a custom glider. It's sort of like a jointed glider.
Mm-hmm.
It's sort of unique. I've done really well on it in Vermilion. So we pre-fishing, it was all bucktails and rubber, and then come the tournament, we couldn't shake any fish loose on that right away. So we made the switch pretty early on to jerk baits, and that ended up, triggering the fish that we lost, and then getting us those 2 fish on back-to-back spots. So.
Did the bigger fish eat the suet?
No, the bigger fish ate the custom jointed glider. So.
Oh, cool. Now, did you guys traditionally in Minnesota waters, I know for myself, especially clear waters, jerk baits and stuff, and especially glide baits, tend to produce a lot of follows and not as many bites. Did you guys see a lot of fish, or were they just, the ones you seen tried to eat?
We saw a couple of fish the first day other than the ones we caught. I had one with 10 minutes to go come up behind the glider. It had its mouth completely over it. And then rather than close on the bait, it turned sideways and closed its mouth and then swam down. So that was a little disheartening.
That's never fun.
No, we saw a fair, it wasn't like constant action, but we definitely moved fish around. We were working them pretty aggressive, right? To try to trigger bites as opposed to follows.
Sure.
So, snapping them pretty hard. And
no, I get it. Mike, Jason, you guys, what you got your fish, like I said, going into Sunday. You got one, and now you got 3 fish on Friday. You had 1 fish. Saturday, you got 3 fish that morning. Was it a special lure? What were you guys using to trigger strikes?
Well, Friday was a double 10 ghost tail, and that's something that I had moved some. Actually, I think I lost one pre-fishing on that particular bait, but then I switched over to a single 8, and Jason would know this better than anybody that I have some type of obsession with bucktails and making bucktails, and probably 3/4 of the bucktails that are in my boat are old bucktails that have been chopped up and reworked, or new bucktails that I've built, and I'll build them and I'll run them and I think it looks good and I'll keep them, or I'll think it looks bad and I'll chop them back up. And I'm just about every trip I'm tinkering around with them and changing them around. And so at the end of the day, the 3 fish came on a single 8 that I had made, pre-fishing. We came out there pre-fishing. Within the first hour of pre-fishing, I moved a fish, and then I caught a 39, and then I took that bucktail and I just set it back in the box and said, we'll take it out tournament time.
Let that baby cool off.
Yep. I'm like, well, you don't want to lose it or break it apart or anything. Even if I were to rebuild something that was similar to it, is it really going to have the same sound, the same chatter, the same vibration, the same this? It's just something that's like, okay, this one's working on this water right now. We're just going to tuck it away. And I threw the double 10 and that single 8 probably 95% of the time. Pretty much that single 8 came out on Saturday, and it didn't come out. It wasn't coming off. It was producing. It wasn't going to come off. And it's a custom single 8. I'm not going to get into details on public airways on what I do, but I got things that I change around, from different types of styles of blades to weights to ticking noises to the size of hooks that I put on them. In all honesty, I got bucktails that are in my boat. I got some bucktails. I got 4 or 5 ounces of weight on them, and that just kind of comes a little bit from my home waters. I have some deep weed edges, and when I say deep weed edges, I'm talking 16, 18, sometimes 20 feet is my deep weed edge. And I want to try and get a bucktail to run way down deep. And they work that way. So, like I said, whatever it was about that single 8 on however I made it, they just wanted to chase it. They wanted to eat it. So I was going to just keep running it. Don't stop what's working.
No, sure. For both of your teams, was there any particular color pattern that was working? light, dark, whatever color? Grant, you can answer that.
Yeah, for us, bright, like orange or perch was working well. I guess the Suic fish was a sucker pattern. It's polar opposite. But
everything was bright except for the other two. Yeah. So they pretty much, it sounds like your fish were just reacting to the stop and go stutter step action. And what's interesting is the fish that Jason and Mike, your guys' fish were just straight retrieve. Was speed a big deal for you guys? Jason, Mike?
I would say yes, it was. I was running a 7-1, and I was moving pretty quick with it. I was. I never once picked up my low gear reel. I never picked up once my smaller rod either. I run 3 rods in the boat, and I was running a pretty heavy rod, 9'8", 7-1 reel, burning it pretty dang quick.
Sure.
Moving pretty fast.
Sure. Well, cool deal. What about color? Was that a big thing for you guys?
With me not changing my baits up too much, I know Jason got some fish to move on some rubber with different color patterns than what I was running, but my ghost tail was a walleye pattern, which was kind of like a brown and gold, and my single 8 was gold on gold. And like I said, once that started working, that bait wasn't coming off my rod.
Sure. No, that's cool. The fish we got on Saturday, we got a small one, I think it's 35 1/4, and our fish actually came out of just kind of sandy weeds, but we got it on a Fire Tiger Junior cowgirl. It's actually one of our Muskie Hunter custom colors. Orange Tiger is what we call it. Super bright, super gaudy, and that's really kind of what we moved fish on, was the gaudier stuff versus the more natural stuff. On Saturday, that seemed to be the deal for us. On Sunday, now, Grant, did you guys, how did your Sunday go?
Well, we did face some adversity on I guess it was Saturday, right? Because it was a Friday, Saturday.
Yes.
Day 2, right? How did our day 2 go? I
can't. Tim does this weird shit. I don't know half the time what I'm talking about. Day 2.
Yeah. Day 2, let's call it that. So on our way, we sort of picked out our first spot. On our way there was a non-tournament boat on it. So we were on our way to the takeoff point. There's a non-tournament boat on it with a big fish in the net.
Well, that was nice of him. He got that out of your way.
Oh.
So that was some adversity. Other than that, day 2 was a grind for us. We fished the same pattern from day 1. Probably a mistake given the conditions in the morning. The conditions were pretty ripe for rock fishing / sand, right? Clouds, winds, felt kind of cooler air, and then that all baked off and it was really hot and flat, which we actually thought was going to turn our weed fish on, but it sort of had the opposite effect. We had to really grind out the small fish that we caught on day 2, and we sort of did it fishing over the top of weeds. Like our pattern, day 1 was sort of on the edge. That's where we caught a lot of our fish, but day 2, we pivoted and started working, 2 passes on weed edges, one on the outside and then one over the top.
Sure.
So.
And did you guys move many fish on Sunday, or was it just kind of blah?
We moved, I think, 2 or 3 others than the one we caught, but like I said, it was kind of a grind on day 2.
Sure. Yeah, our day 2 was, in the morning. It was nice. It was kind of cool. We had overcast skies. There's a little bit of a breeze, and we went back to where we caught the first fish and was really working that over, and had 2 nice, mid 40-inch fish up, going around on the 8, popping their mouths at it, but just would not hit the stupid baits. A lot of water going everywhere, a lot of swearing by me. It was pretty damn frustrating. And our fish on Sunday came completely opposite. We actually had our second spot, and might have been a fish that I had raised the day before on a Wade's wobbler. But now the second fish came on a Red October tube, the gold tube, and with nothing, no grub, no blade or anything on the back, just traditional tube, and with a real heavy head. And I was using a ProRex 8-to-1 and a 10-foot Predator rod, and basically throwing it up on top of some weeds and jerking and reeling like hell to get it out of the off the top, jerking with my rod, basically putting my rod in my on my thigh and jerking straight up for half the cast. And that's what triggered that fish to bite, because we didn't get that fish till tournament was over at 1. That fish we caught at 11:45, so it was late in the day, hot, flat, calm, and I tell you, those fish, when it gets like that, I'm a huge tube fisherman, and so that's what I always reach for. And in Minnesota, when I fished out west in Minnesota for a long time in the summer, the tube was always my go-to bait in late July, August. So many fish I've caught on those stupid things. So it's but it is tournament fishing, and it's I don't know. To me, it's always a grind. But there's because there's a lot of good fishermen in this thing. Hell, there was 3 50-inchers caught. The third place team got a 50-incher. Ty Sennett ended up getting a 50 and a quarter, and a friend of mine, Ben Peterson, got a 50 and a half. So, but we're on Lake Vermilion. You kind of expect that, right?
Yep.
I mean,
I think that. Sorry, go ahead.
No.
Go for it.
Oh, I was just going to say, I think that Saturday, day 2 morning threw a lot of teams off because it was such a perfect morning. I'd be curious to how many fish actually got registered before 11 o'clock. And then, after 11, everybody probably thought the day was over. That's when it actually heated up for us. We just got lucky to catch one before that wind died down to kind of stick to what we had going. And then, but yeah, I mean, we were about ready to give up. Mike wanted to give up an hour before that on the rocks. I think we only moved 1 or 2 fish, probably, from 7 to 11, and then we caught one. And
well, I tell you,
we kind of had the conversation going on in the boat, about the rock bite to the weed bite, going back and forth, and we were working a spot that we had caught the fish on Friday, and we were talking about in the boat, it's like, okay, do we go to weeds or do we set? And Jason, I think, had asked me, he's like, what do you think? And I'm like, well, let's work through these rocks and we'll make a decision. And all of a sudden, I had a small, I think that was my, like a 33 and a half, came screaming out and pounded it. And I'm like, well, I guess we're still going to run rocks. But at that moment in time, it was literally whatever breeze we had. At the moment that I caught that fish, from the time we were casting to the time it was in the net and we got it registered, we realized the lake had it went flat. It did. It just went flat. And I'm like, well, we're going to keep working rocks because this is our pattern. But it may have, we're very happy that we got that fish because we thought the window just actually closed. We got that like at the end of a window. But in reality, it was actually the beginning of the window is what it ended up being.
Mm-hmm. I was surprised on Saturday, Friday, especially with the cool night, because it was like 48 degrees, 46 degrees or something when we started on Friday. And I thought, these fish are going to be up. I figured there'd be some sand stuff. I went around pre-fishing looking for sand and everything. And what I thought was crazy is after the tournament was over, Tim told me that our fish, and it was at 9 o'clock that morning, was the first fish registered on Friday.
Yeah, I just thought we were sucked in the morning.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, we were. we were staring at each other going, what the hell? We're behind the 8-ball already. This is like the prime morning you get up here. Couldn't ask for anything better.
Yeah, that was. I mean, how had it been, Grant? Was the morning any good?
Yeah, we pre-fishing. We actually did really well. Like the first couple hours, like I said, we fished tournament hours. So, I mean, 7 to 9 was like really good for us. So we were kind of shocked that we didn't get fish right away. But we kind of figured, we also had a late morning window too. So we're like, well, we'll get one of those two, right? On the spots we were fishing. And that ended up being the case. We got the late morning window.
Sure.
On day
Ours
one.
was the same too pre-fishing. That's kind of why we stopped at noon. Most of our bites were 7 to 9, and then it kind of died off. So we just spent the rest of the days driving around looking for similar stuff. So
in my cabin, we were really looking for that mid-morning bite. The early one did not get out there for as much. We were good if we got out by 8. We considered that to be an accomplishment in our cabin. It was my motor was I was having battery issues and everything. Grant, you fish with Luke.
Oh yeah,
you know all about that. Do you know what he told me? I was talking to him about lithium batteries, and he's running some lithiums back there, and I've had issues with lithiums. When it gets cold, they don't charge.
Yep.
And he goes, well, all you do is just stick a little space heater in here. I go, that's your gas tank. I'm not going to stick a space heater in here. I go, have you been doing that? It's important to me to know that you haven't been doing that. Tell me the truth. And you know what I'm talking about.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
And he goes, oh, it's not that bad. I go, there is gasoline right there. So, yeah. Once again, another Luke story. I have lots. No, it was, all in all, I think it was a good tournament. There wasn't a ton of fish caught. I think 27 total, 16 Saturday, 11 on Sunday. And I was surprised. There were some really, really good fishermen out there that didn't, that kind of struggled, and I was sort of shocked. Not shocked. I mean, that's the way tournaments go, but it was really a grind and everything. But I'm glad that we had it and everything. Now, Grant, you're done, right? You're not doing any more of them. That was just kind of a deal you guys jumped into.
Yeah, no, we're done. We just fish Vermilion because it's sort of our home water. Sure. We won't be fishing any more of the trail.
Okay. Now, Mike and Jason, you're going to be at the championship?
Yes, we are.
All right. Now, do you have any experience on the Chippewa flowage?
Not much. No, not much. We fished, go ahead, Dave.
COVID year, where it was supposed to be the championship, but then got pushed to the third qualifier. So that's where we found some fish in a cabbage bed and we already had a fish at Eagle River, fish in Iowa, so we were kind of shooting to get one fish for points, and we kind of wasted our whole weekend on one pot of fish, and they never went for us. And then so we need to do a lot more searching around on
the flowage is not an easy body of water.
No.
It's pretty. It's a beautiful body of water, but man, those fish are very angry.
Well, I was going to say that's one thing with the tournament trail that's really advanced our game. In Minnesota, central Minnesota, where it's clear bodies of water. So we go over to Wisconsin, it's, shallow, dark, boggy. It's a whole new game. So it's been really fun for us to learn new stuff or try, some different techniques. I think our first tournament in Eagle River we ever did, we were trolling headlocks down the channel, and we had one like everybody we seen were throwing 4-inch bucktails and tiny rubber, and here we're trolling huge headlocks down the channel, and we had one at like 7:20 in the morning, freaking out, our very first tournament. So
yeah, well,
just seeing different stuff, seeing different stuff and fishing these different waters has sure made us better fishermen. That's for sure. So,
well, like I've always said, there's no better way to learn than being forced to learn than getting your ass kicked in a tournament.
Yeah,
it definitely helps you get your shit together.
Those are some great drive homes, aren't they?
Oh, they're wonderful. I love them. There's a lot of comedy podcast or something for me to listen to, so I don't drive off the road.
That was a good one in Iowa. That was kind of set us back into place when they did their Saturday announcement. We hadn't even seen a fish yet, I don't think, and it was fish everywhere. Fish getting caught here. These teams got 8. This team's got 6. And me and Mike are looking at each other going, what in the hell is going on? The only thing we got was a seagull we took out on the takeoff that hit his butt seat and smoked his, just missed his face on the windshield at 60 miles an hour.
Nice.
That was the only action we had.
Nice.
We did. We torched the seagull. I apologize to the Iowa DNR for doing that. So, but yeah, you know how the seagulls get up out of the water, and one hit the front butt seat and rolled.
One ate too many crawdads or something, and was like, "Oh, wait for me, Dad."
Literally hit the windshield right in front of my face. I thought I was going to take my head off. So.
Well, there you go. Well, guys, I tell you what, I got to congratulate you for a great win. You guys did it. You pulled it out. Grant, you survived a weekend fishing with Luke. That in itself,
it's a win in and of itself.
Yes, that in itself is a congratulations. Before we hang up here, guys, just want to thank Red October Baits, great sponsor of the podcast, and great lures. Always do good. I've caught a lot of fish in tournaments on those. Check them out at Red October Baits on Facebook. Tons of custom colors. 3 different rigs, 3 different sizes. A lot of interchangeability, and I think you're really going to like them. So, guys, Mike, Jason, we will see you at the championship. Grant, you have a great season. Good luck up on Vermilion. And
thank you.
Please keep an eye on Luke. Put a bell on him so that you
don't lose him.
Yes, so you don't lose him. And I will talk to you guys later. Thanks for coming on.
Sounds good. Thanks.
Thank you.
See you. Bye-bye.